Welcome to the Verdin Verdict Sports Show. I'm your host, Jacob Verdin, joined by my guy, G-Sportz, and we got a guest in the building, full house today. Marlon Favorite, Big Fave. Appreciate your time, man. Appreciate you joining us. Welcome in.
Thanks for having me, fellas. First, this is my first time on the show.
Yep.
You know, so appreciate you for having me.
Had to start you off right. So Marlon Favorite, LSU national champion, Super Bowl champion, New Orleans native. Man's, got a lot of talents. So just kind of tell me about not only the way that you got your start into the football world, but really, what do you think motivates you the most in terms of sticking around it and still being in the sports media world?
Well, all good things come to an end, and as a player, eventually, Father Time was going to catch up with me. So I didn't want to get away from the game. I actually had an offer to be a grad assistant on Ed Ogeron's staff. I declined because I just started my sports consulting firm, and I would have wanted to come in as at least an assistant coach. I didn't want to go through like the grad assistant thing. Then I already graduated from LSU, so I didn't want to. That would have been, having a family at the time too would have changed things. So, and simultaneously, I wanted to stick around the sports. So, before I retired from the New Orleans Voodoo back in 2015, I had started what used to be Favorite Strength and Fitness, which is now Conquer Sports Professionals, and me, Skylar Green, a couple of my teammates, core group of coaches put things together, and we've been helping get young men placed in college. I think we're close to almost 100 placements over the years. So that's where it kept me around the sport, watching high school sports, so on and so forth, being with old G-Sportz on the sideline, things like that. And then at the same time, I had to start a podcast a few years later in 2017, which is now Inside the Trenches Pod, and it's that kept me as a journalist. I graduated from LSU in that field in broadcasting, so I knew that was something I was going to do: improv, entertainment, like music. All that stuff was stuff that was already a part of my life as a kid, and stuff starts up, picks back up, starts up, pick back up. So that's kind of how that began to keep me around sports, and I've been blessed to work with LSU Sports Radio now going on my ninth season. So it's just a beautiful thing to do what we do.
I agree. I feel like if you got passion for something, you don't work a day in your life. You know what I mean? G Sports touched on that a lot as well. Just saying the things that you get out of it, you're not really chasing money, you're not really trying to chase all the glitz and glamour. You just want to be able to put back into the next generation. And I mean, going into that, I just wanted to know what advice would you give to an athlete trying to get to the next level, right? A lot of things have changed. The college football is what a lot of people say is the wild, wild west. So how would you prepare somebody who's a young prospect to be able to be ready for that jump?
I would tell them separate themselves from the pack. You can't just work out with the school. You can't just um, put yourself in a position to where you do the minimum. You have to have additional training. You have to study the game more, watch more film. You have to pay attention to the greats, see what they do, what's their routine. It's no reinventing the wheel. A lot of these, we're living in a different era, fellas. This era we're living in is the NIL era. So everybody feel like they're the next 6-figure, 7-figure athlete. Where in actuality, it takes a lot more, especially in this climate. Like we had to grind back then. We had to get it out the mud. Like shouts out to Coach Hank Tierney. I asked him a few years ago. This might have been 2 years ago when he first got back to show. I said, Coach, wait. So back then when we didn't have huddle, I had a lot of shoe boxes. I had at least 11, 12 shoe boxes full of letters. And I'm like, wait, all of these, like, coach would take time and chop up my best plays, best sacks, best tackles, and make those VHSs and mail each individual so well over 200 mail copies. So you're doing that. You're not just doing that for one player. So big ups to Coach Hank Tierney in the time frame that he used to do that for all of us. Chiron Carries of the world, Cam Vaughn, But I can go on of guys who's successful on the next level based off of that VHS, right? And those coaches coming there. But nowadays they do have more flexibility in those areas because of technology. But at the same token, it's much more competitive. Like as a high school player coming out, and they need to hear this, you're competing against grown men in a transfer portal who are starters or played a significant role on those Division I Power Four teams. So you do have, I've trained. I'll give you an example. Over the past few years, I've trained this young man, Zyron Farstall. Zyron now is the top player at his position. His dad got him with us when he was in the 8th grade, with the potential, with the size. So yes, he is going to be able to compete for one of those playing positions or starting positions. But if you're a player right now, you're flying under the radar. You got to put in the extra work. You have to watch more film because it's more competitive now. I mean, you're competing against not just JUCO. You're competing against, as I mentioned, basically players that's been around. So you just have to clearly separate yourself from the pack on this level.
What's
I
your
agree.
response? What's your response, Big Fave, to the parents in this generation are playing a key role, in my opinion. Not all parents, but a good bit of them are playing a key role into why a lot of these kids are not developing and why they're not reaching their full potential because of the way their parents handle their process.
I think a lot of the parents are putting the cattle before the horse, meaning they have this expectation of where their kid is going to be based off of what we're seeing now in regards to how we'll stay local. Let's just say Aaron Anderson and Xavier Thomas. These are two young men right here from the West Bank, but at the same token, not everybody are those kids. So I think coming to the realization and understanding that you will have to get extra training for your kid. Like back then, it was okay for us to do the extra work with Coach Hank and the rest of the staff over there, and that's enough. Nowadays, you have to do more. You have to put in the time, and yeah, don't get it twisted. We got on Tecmo Bowl and Madden and NCAA. Back then, it was Metal Gear Solid on Sega Saturn. Like we've done those things, but I think those '80s babies and some of these '90s babies understood, and I can go back, but understood that you had to have that balance in order to be successful. Like we still had rules we had to follow too. Of course, the cameras were a little ashy like mine is right now back then, but but you got 5G. Yeah, shouts out to my Visvo book, but yeah, we still have to follow those set of rules like don't drink too much. This is when we were at adult age, 21, 22. Always move within reason. So like we never really went places solo. You're at the height. A lot of folks may be jealous of you, and don't get it wrong. A lot of us were cocky back then. I never had a losing season at LSU. Technically, well, I could count my last year as one, but we still, we wasn't under 500. Hello, somebody. But at the same token, we were able to move in packs. So, case in point, say for instance, me and my teammate Tyson Jackson, we rolling out. So that's 4 sets of eyes I got out. So now if I'm at the bar and I'm not paying attention, I tell you like, man, watch your back, look like they about to start fighting over there. He not telling me nothing. I just know code when he make a certain facial expression. So we move like that. We move like champions. We worked more than we partied. And I partied a lot at LSU. A lot. Concerts and all.
That balance is important. You got to be able to keep the main thing the main thing. Let's dial it back a little bit. The 2007 national championship run. When you hear that, what's the first memory that comes to your mind from that team, that season, or just that moment?
If I take one moment, this was scary. Um, we had a lot of turbulence coming back from Atlanta. We just beat Tennessee. We was okay with being SEC champions. 21-14. Honestly, I didn't even play in that game because I had 2 sprained ankles from the Arkansas game, that triple overtime deal. So thank God Ricky G and Francois had just became eligible because we were down at D tackle. But I remember flying back and we was experiencing a lot of turbulence, like the plane was going up and down, but we so excited, we not paying attention to none of that. So the announcer comes on, boom. So everybody like, what the heck? So we all kind of holding our seat. Guys, I got some news. So we like, what the boy, if this was the Ride 49 time, I'm like, what the hell is back then and we could rewind back, we could bring him down. Like, what's going on? Man? Guys, Oregon has won. You guys are going to the national championship. Ah! And look, when we found out, I think it was West Virginia, like he announced both games. West Virginia and the Oregon game. So both of those games were announced. Pitt beat West Virginia and Oregon loses to, I forget, my mind slips me. But those were the 2 teams we needed to lose in order for us to go to the national championship. Now, we jumping up and down on the plane, that plane going up a couple of feet. Like it's dropping. And like I'm feeling all of that. It's but the whole plane was jumping up and down.
I never
So
heard this story.
yeah, the whole plane. So imagine on this plane, you got Herman Johnson. He weighed 370. You know, I'm easily about 310. Glenn 310. Like it's a whole bunch of 300. Like we jumping up and down, like everybody out of their seatbelts. We towed the plane down. It was already turbulence. So that was then the announcer come on, scare the hell out of us. And then we shake the plane more than the turbulence once we found out that we was going to the national championship. We took the line from Hardball. We going to the ship. We going to the ship. And the rest is history.
That's tough. See, it's the moments like that that you got to be able to reflect back on. Not everybody gets to hear them stories. Not everybody gets to get taken into them journeys. Speaking of journey, you had a long one, right? From LSU to NFL. You talked about the New Orleans Voodoo. What do you think were some of the biggest lessons that you learned along the way?
I would probably say less. That was probably the biggest lesson. As far as work ethic, nobody could outwork us coming from LSU. A lot of the boys not talking mess, but we were so ready coming out of the SEC. So it wasn't those things. It wasn't technique. It wasn't being pro ready, but it's really saying less. I'm in media for a reason now, and I can remember going to the NFL broadcast boot camp and having to rewire that because my mentors there, like James Brown and Amber Theo Harris and Booger McFarland, no, now you got to talk more. We need to have you talk because as a player, then LSU let me roam freely. I dropped mixtapes. I dropped an album in college. Coach Miles had us perform at the national championship, us being Fat, Che, Black Venom. So I was who I am now. I was able to be for 4 years. Notice I said 4. I wasn't playing. I was saving. But 4 years under Miles was cool with that. So I was able to be myself. I wasn't able to tap back into that guy fully to about 2018, 2019. And this is 5 years into my profession. So when you're in, it's best to say less. I mean, pay attention around the league now. The guys that's quiet, they usually it's cool. Once the second you start opening your mouth, we've seen that locally. We got to get you up out of here. So that's my advice.
Until your talent start diminishing. They'll put up with you for a little while, like the Antonio Browns, the Odell Beckhams, the Terrell Owens. They'll put up with you for a while as long as you killing it. But as soon as Father Time start catching up with you, that's when they get rid of you, for real.
So that's why y'all got to give props to cats like Tom Brady. They were able to stay ahead of Father Time. Like he was always that guy. Even and I know we're gonna talk about Kyle Williams in a little bit. Even Kyle, he left on his own terms. Like that don't happen a lot. Like
Nah,
I didn't got blackballed in the NFL, survived that. I didn't, got cut back-to-back times at surprising times. I didn't. Little Marlon was in Tanisha Belly. I'm getting cut. Like it's a real lifestyle. So, I would encourage them to don't drop. This is a business you can't get content in. I don't care who you are. You can never take that competitive edge because this is the guide to honest truth. And this is for these NIL babies out here. Somebody is dragging breath, breathing on the back of your neck, waiting for you to make that one mistake because it's a numbers game, guys. Right now, it's a whole bunch of inspired high school kids getting ready to play their football season. They can't wait till it starts. But that's millions of kids. Then you start getting to college. Now it's in that 100,000 range. Everybody, NAIA, everybody, right? When you start getting to professional sports, I mean, the NFL, everybody is about 42, 4,300 people. That's everybody. That's practice squad. Listen, every year, every day, every week I was in that league, they had at least 5 to 7 players coming in to replace me each week, trying out for the team. That door never stopped rotating at each position. So that's the type of competitive edge you have to have. That's the type of man. I'm gonna tilt my hat to shout out to my bro Cam Jordan. He came on my show a couple times. We got to give Cam his props. You survived all those drafts and you're still that guy. That is hard. Cam
and
said just enough.
and he only missed what 3 games in his career
If that, yeah,
in the
that's a guy.
trenches. In the trenches, bro. That's
Come
unheard
on
of.
now. All them years. Think about it, dog. Cam came in the league 11. Yep, because I got Cam by 2 years. My rookie year was '09. So I was still in the NFL when he got there. Cam was there. He stayed consistent. Now he'll say them 2 years with him and Junior Gillette. That was probably his golden years there, but just that consistency. But somebody who evolved. He knew he had to lose weight. He knew he had to be faster. And that's what it's about. But look at his family. Look at the family tree. Look at his dad. His dad was in there before. So pedigree matters in sports as well. Like, because you get the cheat code. Your dad gonna tell you how to survive because he done it, and Cam is the epitome of that.
For sure.
I agree. You mentioned Kyle Williams and being teammates with him at LSU, getting to know him. What do you think about his transition into the coaching world and just, what kind of person is he like? And you think he's the perfect guy for this role?
I do think he's the perfect guy for this role, Kyle Williams. It's funny you asked me that because he did express that to me. He did tell me about um, what went into his decision. Kyle's very candid with anybody. He's just that type of guy. And we talked a little bit after the spring game, and he told me, he was like, "Hey man, Coach Kelly was able to meet me where I was. His wife kind of wanted to build a crib down in BR anyway, but he was okay. He was content with being the defensive coordinator at Ruston. His kids. I think his oldest is at Arkansas and in college. His kids, there's a couple of them in high school, so they'll be going to school down there in Baton Rouge now. So for him, hey, I'm a family man, coach. My family's going to be in and out of this office. And, so Kyle came with his list of demands. And, Coach Keller was like, man, we love it. Bring it on over. But Kyle's a hard-nosed worker. When we first got to LSU, me, Glenn, Tyson, Ricky came Katrina year, but Charles Alexander, Tremaine Johnson, those guys took us under their wings, and they didn't have to. We were freshmen coming in. These guys are fresh off a national championship, had won it in '03, and we was that '04 class coming in. So that game is played that January. We were the guys coming in that June, and I can remember these dudes coming back with these cool leather jackets and these Nokia phones and all the cash, water cash from the bowl game, and Michael Clayton getting drafted first round of Tampa Bay. Like all of this is my visits, my spring games, and all of that stuff. So full circle to Kyle, man, he just they didn't mind after team workouts. We're doing D-line drills. Them dudes was coaching you up. They were player coaches. So it was an easy transition for us when they did leave, and me and Glenn and and that whole next wave of D tackles. Think about it. Their buildup led to us being the number one defensive line 2 years in a row. '06 and '07, we were the number one D lineman, 2 magazine pictures we had to take, So guys like Desmond Howard coming down doing like college game day specials on our D line, and I credit all of that to Kyle, Melvin Oliver, and Marcus Spears, and all those guys who really took us under their wings.
My question to you about Kyle is, and I'm not gonna say the naysayers. I'm gonna say I'm gonna consider myself as a naysayer when I found out he got the job. Right. Not saying he don't know ball. Not saying he can't be a good coach. But my thing was he didn't have to go through the GA role. He didn't have to go through being an analyst. He didn't have to go through being quality control or what have you. Right. He just jumped straight to a position coach. You don't think that's going to be a difficult transition, coaching high school and never have coached college or a higher level in high school, and be able to come in and be able to not only just develop kids, but able to relate to them, build relationships with them at that age, and be able to recruit, because that's a big part of it too. In high school, you don't have to worry about all that. How difficult of a transition you think that's going to be for him?
I don't think it'll be that tough. From what I understand, he was a consultant in the NFL, so he's got
Okay.
thrown into a couple of times and worked with players. So he's just not coming off the high school level, and I think that's what kind of made the decision easier for BK. But another transition too that gave Kyle a competitive edge, and I'm gonna be honest with you, would give a guy like me the competitive edge. We know that Bo Davis system, so
Gotcha.
Kyle
Okay.
wouldn't have got the gig had Bo wouldn't have got hired by the Saints. So it's a few little coaches. That Terry Joseph was on that LSU staff too. So it's cool that Kellen Moore hired those two guys, but we needed somebody to come in that could coach it just like Bo, and it's only the guys cut from that cloth. And as we've
Okay.
discussed, that material is not made anymore.
Okay. Now, see, that's something that I didn't know. That's a backstory I didn't know. I didn't know Kyle came from under that Bo Davis tree.
But that make you a smart journalist, bro. That's a good question. And I
Yeah.
don't think that was a naysayer question, though. That's a real question. That
Well,
was good.
you know how some of the fans are. They'll look
Yeah.
at it. Man, look at G-Sportz trying to hate, and that's not what it is. It's
Nah,
just
that's a real question. If I didn't
yeah,
know the
yeah,
inside scoop on that, I would have probably said the same thing. But he
right.
he has the experience of 14 years in the NFL, years after retiring, being a consultant in the league, uh, coaching on a high school level, but still, and he's in a state too. And conversation rule the nation. So
You're
I
right.
don't think the recruiting spot, he gonna run it.
Especially from that hotbed at Ruston too.
The high bid at Rushing, that's one of the big linemen that Kyle showed what he can do. Because, I mean, you know this, bro. Jacob, you probably second us on this one. Shoot, man, it's about being able to get them high school kids. Because once a kid, and one of my favorite football movies is The Program.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That's a
For y'all
classic.
viewers that they hadn't seen that, I advise you to go look it up on one of your servers. It's a good watch, still relevant to this day. Um, Now I would shoot that again, but add NIL in it. Boy, that would be crazy. But once you're in the program, you're in the program. So I badly worked with Carl Dunbar at times. I badly worked with Travis Jones. I badly worked with Coach Earl Lane. I spent a lot of time with Derek LeBlanc, Jimmy Brumbar. I think Jimmy's out in Oregon. I think Derek's in Kentucky. Spent a lot of time with Bo Davis. Bo Davis would take us to the bottom of the stadium in the old dark hallways. You don't even know in there. They had big sleds down there. We'll go down there with Big Howard Green. Lord bless the dead, Marquise Hill, Jarvis Green, them dudes down there. Coming. Well, I remember one time Hojo came out his hips. Ah, boy, he broke the sled. Now, Bo said, that's how you come out them hips, Big Fade. And I'm like, yeah, that changed my visual of how, yeah, we was the number one D line 2 years after that because Bo knew what it took. So Kyle down there too. That's what I'm thinking back. Kyle,
So that's when Bo was like a GA or like a D line assistant.
Corey Raymond too. Corey came 05. Bo was already there. Bo was there right out of bouncing
But
around.
Bo wasn't the position coach at that time.
No, Bo was there with Travis Jones my freshman year. That
Yep.
was Coach Saban's staff. Then the next year, Coach Miles came through. He kept Bo as a GA, but he brought in
Yep.
Carl Dunbar, which
Yep.
that's that same. See, it's all a Pete Jenkins cloth.
Yep. And see,
So
that's
it's all
why I don't remember Bo Davis. I knew he coached at LSU, but I remember him just being like a GA or something like that.
for some years. He was a GA. Cool story, and I was gonna save this for inside the trenches with Bo, but I'm feeling it right now. I remember how Bo felt when he didn't get the job, when Miles didn't hire him.
Come
Because
on.
Coach Dunbar had left. We all knew he was gone. He'd take the pro job for reasons.
Yeah.
So he was gone. So we knew Bo knew he had the recommendation. Coach Miles did not hire Bo. And it broke his heart. He left. That's why Bo left LSU. And it's crazy years later, and a few months after, shouts out to Soldier Slim, shoot, he ended up getting a job. And then he fulfilled that dream. But now the Saints called. So he's always wanted to coach at LSU. So the fact that he had a season doing it, that was a dream, a goal of his, and it was right this time. He came back with, this Texas defensive line and all these Terrence Cody's and all these Alabama's defensive lines, and yep, and boom, and who we gonna hire? Kyle, you got to because you want to. LSU got a system going, y'all. And you don't want to rock that system too much, so you don't want to change up too many errors. So that
Terminology, philosophy wise, hand technique, and I get it. I get
all
it.
of that.
Especially when you got a lot of talent like a Dominic McKinley and Ahmad Bro, Jacobian Guillory coming back for his final year. You got a lot of pieces that, you're going to be able to get a lot out of. Speak to that and what you see in them and then how you think they're going to be able to be impacted by Kyle Williams and the knowledge you'll be able to drop on them.
I think, you look at Bro and McKinley, and of course, having a healthy Tank Guillory. Like Tank had, I went brought little Marlon to the kids' quarterback camp at LSU. I went to workout gym to see how they was doing. He's like, oh, boom, he's talking about, oh, God damn, boy. I hit him with Bo told him, man, that boy drinking goat milk. Like, God, they trying to knock my shoulder loose. So he's ripping ready to go. I think he's the most pro ready out of the guys. And those babies got thrown in the fire last year, McKinley and Bro. So now that my Bro and those guys has now had the experience in the trenches, in the SEC, yeah, Jalen Milrose really like that. You had a chance to go against the Montrell Johnson, so you see what the SEC running back is. So the fact that they got thrown in that fire, that gives them an advantage. And of course, bringing some guys in off the edge, Florida State, Florida, now performing well in the transfer portal to Jacob, I think has positioned them to do better this year up front.
I think Gabe Rutherford is somebody that's gonna take a lot of people by storm this year. I saw
Yep.
some flashes of him last year and during the spring. I think he's somebody that can have a real impact on that team this year. And
I
going
agree.
because he played a lot as a freshman last year.
Yeah, a
He
lot of
did.
people
I
forget
forgot. He
about him.
sure did. Yeah. So y'all getting it like, and then the depth. We had depth. Like I can remember 12, 13 defensive line travel bags at LSU. Your team's doing well if you got 11 to 13 linemen traveling.
For sure.
Because those three groups, all of them got to rotate in. I need
Right.
all of them.
Right. And when you think back on the LSU teams that had the Michael Brockers and the uh uh who else went
Bengals, you keep
who
going.
who else went high in that drive of Brockers that played on the D line?
Bob, I said, oh, keep it. That was later.
I'm having a brain for it.
Montgomery.
Montgomery, Sam Montgomery.
Sam Montgomery,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? So when you had, back then, and even those Bama teams and those Georgia teams that won national championships, bro, when you look at it throughout the game and throughout these series, you see different four D linemen running off, four D linemen running on. And they keeping them guys fresh, and that shit wears you down throughout the course of a game. In the fourth quarter, man, they eat you alive. And I think LSU last year, Bo got the most out of that group, but they couldn't rotate like they wanted. And as you know, Big Fade, fourth quarter in the SEC, you start wearing down, bro. You start wearing down, your legs start feeling like noodles, and it's just a different beast. And I think this year is the deepest they're going to be on the D line, and I think they're going to be able to rotate about 10 guys, in my opinion.
That's good. Now we're in a good position that happens.
Talk about this year and your expectations. Everybody's talking about playoff or bust. You got the 12-man format. A lot of pressure's on. The Wolves in Baton Rouge, so to speak, are starting to howl a little bit. Big Fave, what you thinking about the Clemson game, the little mini gauntlet you run through the first 5 weeks? You get
Uh-oh.
Florida, Ole Miss, South Carolina. I mean, it's gonna heat up a little bit. How you feeling?
Uh-oh. Hello, somebody.
Hello, somebody. Do I feel like this is 2019? No. It has the potential to be very close to it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think the biggest question marks, I feel comfortable in this group. I saw G looking at the spring game, but people want to know what this offensive line is going to be this year. If this offensive line shows up and they are they're good on assignments, not a lot of misassignments in regards to errors and stuff like that up front, and they're strong, this is a lethal backfield. I'm
Yes.
talking about catching and running through the tackles. Uh, this is by far, we all saw the NCAA video game leaks. This is a fast receiving core and have depth with speed. So I can think back to Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson,
Terrence Marshall.
Terrence Marshall.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
But now you see how he went to running backs? I didn't say Thad Moss either. I
Right.
wanted to talk receivers. This is a deep group of receivers. Barron, Anderson, Thomas, LaFat from Carl.
Chris.
You have the Parker, Chris Hilton. You have seven legit wide receivers. The average speed in this receiving core is a 4.37. That is scary. Jamar is a 4.3 guy. Justin is a high 4.3, low 4.4 guy. That receiving core wasn't as fast as this one. No, sir.
Nah,
It's
nah. I gotta be devil's advocate right now. So
Go
what I what
ahead.
I what I love to hear your rebuttal to this. I don't think I understand what you're saying when you say they won't be 2019, but they could be close. I think they could be close in terms of having an opportunity to play for a natty, but I don't think they are close when you're talking about from a skill set standpoint. And this is why I say that.
Right.
When you talk about the quarterback position, I think Nuzma is a great arm talent, right? But I don't think he has the mobility like Joe Burrow did, the escapability when they send 6-man pressure, him being able to get out and extend plays and get first downs with his legs. I don't think he has that ability. Well, at least he hasn't shown it. Secondly, the receiving core, super fast, but we got a lot of question marks. Big Fade. Chris Hilton has been hurt every year since he's been at LSU. Nick Anderson's coming off a torn groin, and he missed all of last year at Oklahoma, and he couldn't even finish the spring, and he hasn't been a full participant in PRP practices so far. Destin Hill, super talented, coming off a torn ACL at Florida State, dislocated his ankle in the spring, is out 6 to 8 weeks. They say he's gonna be ready for fall camp. That's 3 guys that they gonna be dependent on. So if those guys aren't back 100%, which I hope they are, that receiver room is not looking as potent as we would think. And then when you talk about the running back room, Caleb Jackson last year came to camp overweight, and he didn't have the season we thought he was going to have. Will we see a different Caleb Jackson this year? Caden Durham had the ankle and the foot injury, right? He was limited during spring, right? Is that something that's going to bother him as we get approaching to the season? Now you got the true freshman Harlem Berry and JT Lindsay coming in. We know they're talented, but at the end of the day, it's still 2 true freshmen in the SEC. And then when you talk about the tackle position, love Tyree Adams, love Weston Davis, but Tyree Adams played guard. He ain't play that blind side. I believe in Tyree Adams, but I still got to see it. So when you talk about that, that's why I think it's just so many question marks coming into this team. But on paper, I agree with you. Super talented.
I get where you're coming from, and I have a little rebuttal for you. That's what a depth come into play at. And we do have a super tight end in Tre'Davious Green.
And Ball
So
Sharp.
I
And
think
Ball Sharp. And Ball Sharp. I love Ball Sharp.
yeah, so that helps. And I like the athleticism coming out of the backfield. Given you limit Caden in the spring, keep him off his feet in the summer in conditions, so the fall ball we ain't dealing with the knickknacks, right?
Right.
So yeah, I'm with y'all on that one. So I will go on a limb to say depth and speed wise, that now skill I can't no rebuttal because I mean Jamar Chase, he's just him and Justin were just they were stronger than all of these guys.
Cheat code.
Yeah, it was a cheat code. Like I remember talking to Jimmy, Jamar's dad, about that because Kentrell, my oldest, was playing receiver and he had to play punter at De La Salle. Fade, make sure you're in that weight room. We got to be strong off the chest. And Jamar, I think this kid's benching like 450 as a receiver, so that gives them that edge. So to your point, G, it's and it's like years with Nesmaya and Burrow. I'm with
That's
that.
what I about.
I'm
And
with you
look,
on that. Yeah.
I'm talking about just from the mobility standpoint. I think
Yes,
Nussmeier might be a better arm talent than Joe Burrow, but
stronger for sure, but
the
you talking
mobility
about the
part.
Texas game when Texas sent the house and he put his shoulder on old boy and threw the yeah. I don't think Nuss throwing a pick or not running in that situation.
That's what I'm saying, and
Judging
that's
off of
the
last season.
right. So that's the things that has my concern going into the season. But the good thing about it, the SEC night, in my opinion, is not no top dog coming into this year. Georgia,
No.
we don't know what
Yeah.
Stockton gonna look like at quarterback. They missing a lot at receiver and running back.
Yeah.
Ole Miss.
Tennessee, we thought Nico was coming back, but he wanted $8 million, so he gone.
He UCLA, huh?
Yeah,
Yep.
went to UCLA. Who else
Ole
we got?
Miss lost their quarterback. They're gonna
Ole
have a
Miss lost
whole
their
offensive
quarterback and
turnaround.
they lost all the receivers and the D line.
Florida straight. Florida got
Now
Lagway.
that's DJ Lagway.
He's tough.
Laneway.
And they got a lot coming. They got like 8 or 9 starters coming back on defense. You see what I'm saying? So Florida, yeah. But I think the SEC, you don't look at nobody and say, man, they're gonna be tough to beat. Even like Bama. Like Bama lost a lot.
Bama lost a lot, bro.
Lost a lot, bro. They lost a lot. So I think that could be a blessing in the sky. I ain't gonna say a blessing in the sky. That could be a blessing for LSU as we talk about all those question marks, because they could probably get away with a lot of stuff just because they don't. I don't think they have a dominant team in the SEC this year, in my opinion. A lot of the good teams got some good teams though.
Yeah.
That's why I get confused when I see LSU and the odds at like 5th. I mean, I don't name a lot of teams that could be able to take ahead of them, especially with the schedule the way it's laying out. G, you said Florida's one of the sneaky games for you on this schedule. Big Fave, what you think is the sneakiest game that you would, pump the brakes a little bit on the expectations for?
Man, I'm almost wanting to second him on Florida. Like the more and more we dig into this conversation, I mean, we look at the LSU schedule. All right, this I might have to go with my Saints brother on this one. Harper. If LSU, Roman Harper. If LSU beats Clemson in the opener, Brian Kelly wins his first opener at LSU, we might be looking at a team. We got South Carolina on the schedule. I do think we got to watch Florida. Oklahoma could be sneaky, but we put it down on them last year.
But you're playing me in Norman now. You're playing me in Norman this year.
Yeah, we do play them in Norman. So Florida is the sneaky game because they always play us tough, and Langland is he a dog. He's probably next to Nussmeier and Manning, the best quarterback in the SEC.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
And I think that having Florida at home gonna help though.
Yep.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and it's a night game if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
Right now, it's the only SEC night game. They got some flex games, but in terms of confirmed start times, that's the only one in Death Valley for the SEC conference schedule.
Man,
hopefully
Lord,
they flex some stuff.
Please don't put This not even for us. We could go to the booth, y'all, and just sit in the press box. But y'all, I forget what game that was we had earlier.
UCLA,
UCLA, yeah.
UCLA,
And before you saw
UCLA,
it was burning on that other side of
bruh,
the stadium.
bruh. In the
Oh,
second
I
quarter,
felt
they
so
ain't have
sorry for
nobody.
them
They ain't have
CEOs.
nobody. Yeah, bro, that shit was ridiculous.
It's like
No, I had a
110.
client over there. Shouts out to Anthony. One of the better D linemen coming in his 27 class, Anthony Parker Jr. His daddy, man, Fade, we were on the other side. They were sitting, dog. I started
The
to see
sun
those
is
people
just
leave
beaming
too.
right in you.
Yeah, and that was a whole deal. Did they say they were going to work on not
Yep.
scheduling it at that time of the year that early?
Yep.
Yeah, that was a deal, boy. That was Lord. I felt for them people.
I
Yeah,
think the only game that they're gonna have an early kickoff it should be Arkansas, but that's gonna be in November. So
Yeah,
hopefully
see,
that
that's
fall
fine.
weather come in.
November in Louisiana, it feel good outside. Might have a little windbreak on.
Come on,
You heard me?
a little bit of drip. Before we get out of here, Big Fave, I want to ask you about your latest project, and then I want you to tell me a story. Right? I'm digging into you, looking at your
trophies.
profile, looking at your information, and I see that you were performing at LSU basketball halftime shows. Talk to me about that because you don't hear about that often. Like, yeah, now you hear about Flage being a two-way superstar and stuff, but come on, man, you're the OG out here. Tell me some stories about you and your performances.
Yeah, I would say Flage is the female version of who I was back then at LSU, and I am super thankful to Les Miles for allowing me to pursue the music the way I did then, and fortunately to have it come back. But it was LSU really did rile behind its talented student athletes. I have to say that. And these opportunities, Showtime at the Cotillion, shouts out to my homie E. Ryan, used to put those together. I performed at Delta pageants, AKA pageants. We've done a couple of festivals, Grooving on the Ground. But I have to say, Candace Parker was in town. LSU was taking on Tennessee at the time, and we were able to perform at the hat. It was me, Allie Broussard, and April Bruckholder. I was able to record several tracks with them in college. Uh, my boy Kirsten Pittman, who ducked us on that show, he was supposed to perform, got the cold feet in that Pete Maravich. Boy, that was a funny story. But yeah, just thinking back to those days, I was happy to be able to. I was able to do West Jeff Talent shows and things of that nature. But it's just a blessing to be able to do what you love.
Swiss
I
Army
agree.
knife.
That's it. Yeah, the Taysom Hill is entertainment, baby.
Come on, we got to patent that.
Ah,
We need a T-shirt with that on it. Come on,
yeah.
get it done.
But yeah, Trophies, that's my single that just dropped. I wanted to do something different. I had just dropped Lovers, my second solo album. So I sung that entire project. Like that entire project I sung. So I got with my new team, Beats Root Music, and got with Jazzy with Track Daddy. Like, man, Fade, we need you to come with some of them flows, some of them funky flows. So when I do raps, I try to have a message behind them. So, trophies is just simply saying, hey, you're a winner. You earned it. You can do it. Even Jada Kiss told us we can make it. So I made that the hook and just put some bars to it. Got my boy Dave Lemon on the hook. He's singing the ad libs and the hook with me. So yeah, I think G-Sportz gonna like that one. That might go on one of the little G-Sportz Instagram reels. You never know. You know what I'm saying?
Come on,
You know, I've
y'all
been
check it
Hello,
out.
somebody.
I've been consistent with the Kenneth brother.
Yeah, that's right. You sure have.
You
That's
know,
right.
I gotta pay homage to the boot, bro. Anybody that's doing anything in the music industry, but see, when I go to the search bar, you gotta get in that search bar because I tried one of your songs before, it didn't come up.
Come on.
Yeah,
I'm at the top. We're gonna fix that. Let's fix them
We
yeah,
gonna
you
get
gotta
it
fix
stereotypes,
that,
live.
man. You gotta fix that, man. Whatever you gotta do to
Yeah,
get it on
man.
there, man.
I gotta get them all like Hello Somebody.
Let's
Yeah,
get it.
I
Yeah.
like when people be like, man, what song it is on your reel? Man, that's
See,
big
that's
fade.
that's
Man,
that's the
that's big
response we're
fade,
looking
man.
for
That's big
right there.
fade. That's big fade, man.
Yeah, man. That's that love right there.
That's what I'm telling you.
Well, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. G, Big Fave, y'all know the drill. Hit that like button live Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We're gonna have to do this again. Do this again real soon.
Definitely, man. That was
Next
cool.
time, man, let's get your light and
Yeah, we're gonna get it. You know what I'm saying? Let
get
me
your
get that
light.
G-Sport light. That's the little ashy camera. Look. Oh, there we go. Oh, dang.
We need
Look,
some
just
Hello,
drippers
lick
on
buddy.
lick your
that.
finger and hit the camera.
There you go. Swift and clean. Appreciate y'all,
Y'all
man.
funny.
My
Y'all have a
dog.
good
Man,
one.
thank y'all for having me,
All
dog.
right.
Sure. Thank you for
Peace.
coming on.
Hello.